have been well trained.
No.
You don't have to carry a sword to be powerful.
I won't fail you.
Or do not.
I'm not afraid.
There is no try.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Chance Cube coverage of the 2018 World Championship of Star Wars Destiny. My name is Todd, and in this video we're going to be watching a battle between a couple of really cool non-meta decks. Unfortunately, we were not able to find the names of either one of these players, and so if anyone knows who these players are, or if these players happen to watch, if you can please let us know, contact us, and get us the names of these players. We'll go ahead and make sure that they are credited down below. Now, the only thing that I definitely did hear in the opening banter between these two players is that the player on the left is from Maine and the player on the right is from New Zealand. So we are going to refer to them as the places they're from. So we have on the right New Zealand and on the left Maine. We're going to start on the right with New Zealand. He's going to be playing a Tarkin Jabba deck with the Command Center Lothal being his battlefield. So it appears he's going to be focusing on a mill objective with his deck. And on the left we have Maine. He's going to be running a Elite Kylo Ren from the two-player starter, a single die First Order Stormtrooper, because that's how you have to run him, and a Jawa Scavenger. Now, Jawa Scavenger is definitely not a card that you see in play very often. If you are familiar with the character, he has an ability, he or she, sorry. The Jawa Scavenger has an ability. It is that after you activate this character, you may discard one of your supports or upgrades that cost 2 or more from play to gain a resource. So, while it's usually not the best idea to discard your stuff, sometimes if you can just get that one extra resource, it can actually make a really big difference in how you end up being able to play the round. So, and then Kylo Stormtrooper Jawa running the Fort and Axis to give your characters Guardian. Now, Guardian is extremely powerful and can be really good against particular decks. The only time that I've seen Guardian be fairly ineffective is against the indirect damage decks. I once ran a Battle Droid deck with some sneaky Guardian shenanigans, and I played it against a vehicle deck that was almost nothing but indirect damage, and it felt like a waste to have that Guardian ability the whole time. In this particular case, though, it'll be interesting to see if the Jabba Tarkin player runs any weapon sides or any damage sides at all, other than the indirect on Tarkin's die. So, Kylo Ren's ability is going to be interesting in this particular round because I'm not really sure what the Tarkin Jabba deck has more of. I would probably assume more yellow cards, and that's just because yellow seems to have a little bit more mill. You have cards like Buyout, but then you also have things like Blackmail, which has huge discard sides, and then other cards similar that have some pretty heavy discard sides are a lot in yellow, not a lot of red discard sides. So it's probably going to be a good idea for Maine to call yellow most of the time in this particular matchup. On the other side, if I was the Jabba Tarkin player, I think trying to get those cards out of hand as quickly as possible is going to be the way to go. Possibly throwing out things like fast hands or running tactical masteries and things like that to be able to roll out characters or resolve focuses and get them right into the discard sides as fast as you can. Personally, is what I would try to do. Now, one thing that's a little bit interesting is Tarkin's ability to have the extra discard. So his die are 2 indirect, 1 focus, 2 focus, 2 discard, and a resource. So between just the Tarkin and Jabba die, you have a potential of 8 discards around. So that could be a pretty big deal. As you saw, these players ended up having to roll for the battlefield 4 times before one of them had more value sides showing on their dice. That's always fun. They actually started to banter a little bit and say, well, is this what it's going to be? Or are we just going to roll our dice for 35 minutes and whoever gets to pick the battlefield wins? Of course, that's not how it happened, and eventually it is going to even out. So we do see a bystander or possibly a judge pointing out that he had switched the dice on his characters. The Jawa die was on the First Order Stormtrooper and vice versa. It's not a huge deal, and a lot of people will notice it if you try to roll in that character. They're going to notice it and make the clarification, but the sooner you can keep track of that, the sooner you can call that, the better it is. So we see a Shoto go on Kylo Ren. Shoto has 3 damage sides, and so I think that's probably one of the good cards that we're going to be seeing coming out here. We see a Fast Hands on Jabba, and it is immediately rended from New Zealand's Jabba the Hutt. Wow, not a card that sees a ton of play, but rend is extremely valuable to get rid of force speeds, to get rid of the Fast Hands, and all the great stuff. So we do see a Friends in Low Places to reveal the rest of Main's hand. It's going to be showing a Boundless Ambition, a Doubt, and a Price of Failure. Oh, there's the trick. So the trick of this particular Kylo Ren deck, it looks like, is probably to do a little bit of what the Bro TK or the original OTK does with Seventh Sister, which is to ready Kylo Ren by defeating your other characters. So he does have potential 2 activations. The only thing that this one will definitely not be running is Leadership, because Leadership only works on a unique red character, not a non-unique red character, which is the only red that we have on the main side with Kylo Ren. We get Kylo Ren rolling in, and he rolls damage for all day long. He calls a color. He calls yellow, and is able to get the 2 damage on Jabba. He's going to start with Jabba's die. Now, Jabba does have the ability to re-roll a yellow die each round, so if he's able to get those blackmails out, if he can get another Fast Hands on Jabba, we could easily be seeing some major hand disruption definitely coming out of the villain mill side here. So we did see a Doubt played on one of Kylo's dice. It rolled into yet another damage side. Kylo Ren having 50% damage sides is very powerful. One of those sides you do have to pay for, so I'm not sure if that's why he's running the Jawa Scavenger. I'm pretty sure the reason he's running it is because that's what fit with the 7th cost character and a Kylo Ren. It also gives him access to red cards and upgrades and supports, and so it's very possible he could be running the Electro Staff on Kylo Ren's side. Electro Staff is a 2-cost upgrade weapon, and it has a +1 melee, +2 melee, and a +3 melee, and then a shield and a disrupt, I believe. But the Electro Staff allows you to resolve one of attached character's character dice showing a resource cost, reducing it by 1. So if we were to see an Electro Staff on Kylo Ren, it would make his 2-for-1 side free. So that'd be pretty awesome. We do see Main is definitely concentrating on the Jabba the Hutt. Tarkin rolling in and getting 2 focus sides. So he does have his ability to remove those focus sides and deal 4 indirect damage, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you imagine that you go, if you can just use that ability once around, if you go 3 rounds, that's 12 damage right there. That's pretty massive. So we do see the Jawa activation, and he gets the range damage. I personally have run Jawa only a couple of times, and they were both in draft. There's only one that I can for sure remember that I did, because I had 3 8-cost characters, and I was about to start the game, and I suddenly realized that I could add a Jawa to that, so I threw him in, and then I was able to sweep the tournament because I had so much health on my side of the board that they just couldn't chew through it as fast as I was able to. So that made a huge difference in my deck. And when the Jawa rolls that 2-for-1 side, and you have the money to pay for it, your opponent just looks at it and goes, really? The Jawa is hitting me for 2? He's doing just as good as the Stormtrooper? And, I mean, in a lot of cases, the Jawa has better aim in the movies than the Stormtrooper. The Jawas, as far as I remember, hit everything they aimed at. So we do see a second Friends in Low Places coming out of New Zealand's hand. Looking across the way, we see no weapons in hand. We see Boundless, the Hidden Motive, Abandon All Hope, Lightsaber Pull, and Rise Again. Uh-oh. That Abandon All Hope could be pretty... Oh, he does. Abandon All Hope. So now New Zealand has to decide to lose all their cards in their hand or lose all of their resources. Whew. Now, I think the best choice probably is still to lose resources. It has been debated many times before, and most of the time the debate ends up saying, you know what, get rid of your resources. Unless you have paid sides on your dice and unless you already have a bunch of upgrades out, you really want to hang on to the cards in hand because you can always earn more resources from the dice that you have out and through re-rolling, but you can't get more cards in your hand generally from the dice that you roll out. I know there are cards like Dark Council and things like that, but for the most part, you can't really count on cards on dice like that to be able to get you extra cards in hand. Kylo rolling out and hitting damage again, hitting all 3 dice with damage. Calls yellow again and hits Jabba for another 2. Jabba the Hutt already has 8 damage on him. It is not going to take much more to be able to knock this guy out. So we do see Jabba showing a focus and the discard sides, I believe. So unfortunately getting hit by that Abandon All Hope is going to be a pretty difficult thing to deal with. So not having the resources to be able to pay any or paid mitigation. But there are definitely some doubts on New Zealand's side, on Jabba Tarkin's side. So we do see a 2 discard being resolved on Jabba's dice. And boom, Rise Again and Hidden Motive. So still got that 1 card left in hand. Probably not going to have to discard too much to be able to get what he needs. He does resolve the Kylo Ren and one of the Shoto in order to wipe Jabba off the board. Early turn 2 loss of a character can be very difficult for Mill to overcome, especially in this case with only a 2 character. I did run a Jabba Tarkin deck, but it was a mix of damage and Mill, and it did not do well for me. It was too unfocused in order to do any good for me, which was kind of frustrating. So we do see Tarkin roll out, and he gets the focus sides again. So he could focus into... he could focus into the discard, or focus into the resource and try to get a little bit of ramp for next round. But we'll kind of see what he decides to do. Main still only having 1 card in hand, so if he were to discard that to re-roll, that would pretty much make the Tarkin die irrelevant. However, in Tarkin's defense, him discarding a card from his hand is just moving into your strategy and your win condition. And of course, he rolls in and ends up hitting the damage side on Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren, 50% damage sides. It's hard to miss. Hard to miss with him. We do see a truce into a 1/4 portion to remove Stormtrooper die. So he Main does get an additional resource. We kind of see that's definitely going to come into play next round, possibly getting some weapons. We did not see any weapons in his hand this round, so Main's definitely going to be drawing those in the next round or 2. Roll out the Jawa. Jawa gets the blank. Jawa has blanks. I mean, he's almost as good as a Stormtrooper. He has 1 less damage side than Stormtrooper. But you know, I like him. I think he's a cool dude. I don't see a way for his ability to really be used yet, but we could see some ways to make it useful in future sets, like Way of the Force that's going to be coming out later this year. So we draw up into our new round. We're going to pay those 2 resources on New Zealand's side to get a personal shield. Personal shield, an excellent excellent card and die. It does have a 3 shield side for $1, so that's very powerful. We do see the Ancient Lightsaber go down on Kylo Ren. Now, in this particular matchup, it's not going to be useful for healing, but it's definitely going to be useful for those 1 range damage sides and that +3. Oh, I'm sorry, I said ranged. The melee side, the 1 melee sides and the +3 melee sides. It's going to be pretty massive. We are seeing Tarkin's ability possible to go off again with those blanks, but unfortunately not showing the discards that he really wants to be seeing. We do see the Jawa scavenger roll out and get a resource. Resources are extremely useful and very needed in decks that run Blue Villain. Blue Villain has very difficult time getting those resources. So for Main to be able to roll in and get those resources on the Stormtrooper and the Jawa makes those 2 characters very worthwhile and very worth keeping. So we re-roll and we see 2 resources and a blank on Tarkin's side. So Tarkin still able to resolve his ability, but we are definitely too far into the mill strategy now to try and switch it up to a damage. I personally think we're definitely trying to get that mill strategy going here. So it looks like we're claiming the resource on Kylo Ren's side. He probably has something going on here. So now we see Tarkin. Tarkin rerolls again, and Tarkin loves his money. He has gotten more resources. 2 more resources on Tarkin dice, and another resource on the personal shield. So you've got 3 resources sitting here. Oh man, that's going to be pretty intense. So we get a probe to remove events from his opponent's hand. He only has 2 cards, and one of them is He Doesn't Like You. The other one was a Grand Moff. Oh my goodness, I am so happy. I have to tell you guys, Grand Moff is actually a card that I've been trying to make work. So when Legacies first came out, many of the content providers and me myself as well recognized that Grand Moff and Rebellion Leader were kind of the weaker legendaries of the set, and they're definitely the weaker legendaries in the set. And so I took it as a challenge to try and make it work a little bit, and I personally think it's such a good card if you can get it out. So its sides are 2 indirect, 3 indirect, 2 focus, 3 focus, 2 discard, and 2 resources. It is unique red character only, so it can only go on characters like Tarkin and Thrawn. But the real reason you want to use this and why you want to try to tech it into your deck is for its power action to use the claim ability on the battlefield, or switch the battlefield with the battlefield that is not being used. So if you've ever played cards like New Order, which costs 2 and switches the battlefield and lets you use the claim ability, it's a little bit like that. It allows you to swap out the battlefield, so he would be able to switch it back to the command center on Lothal, and then in future rounds just be able to use the power action and mill 2 cards off the top of his opponent's deck each time. So we do see Kylo Ren rolling and re-rolling and re-rolling, trying to get extra damage here. He could potentially, he could be trying to go for a win here if he can get those dice to cooperate a little bit. He does end up getting 7 damage showing on Kylo's dice, and still the blank on the Stormtrooper. That little bit of extra on the Stormtrooper would have taken this round. Looks like he's holding back on a lightsaber pull on Kylo's side. No, he may discard to reroll. Nope. He decides to lightsaber pull another weapon, blue weapon from his deck. So Tarkin is sitting at 9 damage. The personal shield not rolling any shields. Definitely a little bit painful. He is holding on to that Rebellion Leader, so he's probably counting on the fact that next round he's going to be able to have those 5 resources and possibly try to get that out. I do not know of very many healing cards on the red-yellow villain side of things. The only red card that is coming immediately to mind would be Undying Loyalty, which heals a damage from a red character, and then if you have another copy of it in your discard pile, you can actually pay a resource and put that card back on top of your deck. So you could technically heal 1 damage each round. It's kind of like a personal Oto Gunga for a resource. Alright, we see the Ancient Lightsaber that was pulled with Lightsaber Pulled going down on Kylo Ren. Tarkin, though, is within the dead state here. Tarkin on the bubble. If Kylo Ren hits on his ability, then that's the game. So Tarkin is going to have the first action to play out. Something, I'm trying to think of some cards that could help him be blocked. He could try to do some tactical mastery things, or even 3 steps ahead. He puts down a second personal shield, so he's hoping to be able to get out there and block some damage. But that's only going to matter if Kylo Ren misses on his ability. Sure enough, Kylo Ren player searching through the discard deck, the discard side of Tarkin to decide on a color. Looked like there was a lot of yellow, so he's probably going to call yellow again. I know he called red last time. That was because he knew the last card was red in Tarkin's deck. So he rolls out. He gets lethal damage. He calls yellow, and that's the game. Oh, congratulations to both these players, both New Zealand and Maine, for sending such wonderful players to the World Championship of Star Wars Destiny. Once again, thank you guys so much for being willing to jump on stream here. And if you see this, or if you know either one of these players, or preferably if you know both of them, let us know so we can give them all the credit that they so richly deserve for coming to this World Championship for this game that we love so very, very much. And you guys are just awesome. So thank you, and we'll catch you in the next video.